Will there be any celebrities showing up? Definitely. Hello there, Eirik.
Hi.
We've already talked a bit off camera that we'll really have to focus on making sure we convey what we want to with this interview, because with all the topics you're covering right now around motorcycles and cars, it's become quite a lot.
Yes, we're really trying to follow the spirit of our vision here, which is all about sports. Motorcycles and cars are our passion, so honestly, that's the direction that keeps guiding me.
Why motorcycles in the first place? How old were you when you first saw one? When did you want one?
You know, from the very beginning, for as long as I can remember, I was riding a Simpson. I remember my feet couldn't reach the ground, but my dad sat me on an MZ or a CZ, and I would ride the CZ without touching the yard. So motorcycles have been a part of my life from the very beginning.
How old were you? Probably 5, 6?
I think around 7 or 8 years old. Yes, that's exactly how I started.
Not bad. And later, do you actually ride motorcycles on the streets at all?
I do ride motorcycles on the streets, yes, but rarely. Usually these are events organized by the importer or other organizers where we check and test various new models, but on a daily basis I rarely ride on the streets, only on the track.
Only on the track. When did you first go to a racetrack?
I think it was about 20 years ago. 20 years ago, my first time at a racetrack was at an event organized by the Polonia Cup. There were cups being organized. I signed up for the cup. I competed. That was the very beginning, and later I started progressing towards the Polish championships. And right away, I didn't go the usual route like most riders, starting with 300cc or 600cc bikes. I went straight to the 1000cc. So it was a tough road because really...
Without traction control or anything?
Without traction control, without anything. So those were truly historic times, especially when you look at it from today's perspective. But it was a good lesson.
Did you crash a lot?
Yes, there were a few, let's say, various wipeouts. Yes, because I ended up, yes, some deformities remained.
But all right, cups, meaning trophies. Brand cups, brand trophies. I actually knew about the BMW Boxer Cup. Actually, my friend, yes, once my friend bought a motorcycle that used to race in the cup, converted it back for the road, and I rode it on the street. I was like, how did people race on this thing? Because I see it's a K1200.
Yes, but before that I raced in the Boxer Cup, and I actually rode the Boxer Cup in Ireneusz. I remember in the corners the first time I leaned that Boxer Cup over onto its side in a turn and started scraping the cylinders on the asphalt. I was terrified. I was scared. I wonder how the other riders could go at that pace when the cylinders were just scraping, yes, exactly like that. So it was tough.
That doesn't change the fact that, from my perspective, and I think you're living proof of this, there's no better way to start racing as an adult.
Yes. I mean, really, it's for any age, because whether it's a participant who's 18 or 20 years old or an adult who's 40, this is a starting point where you can begin or return to the enjoyment, to riding, to learning, because these are, on the one hand, stock motorcycles, so they're not expensive, and they're prepared in such a way that you can get a bike ready for the cup with minimal costs, but at the same time, they provide full comfort and safety. Yes, so on one hand, we make sure what kind of tires the riders or participants use and how the motorcycles are prepared, because that's our responsibility. And on the other hand, we give them a low budget opportunity and the enjoyment, the fun of learning.
Because that's it. That's the most important thing for me, to make it clear, because right now, when we look at motorsport, especially motorcycle racing, it's become a kind of breeding ground for riders where kids have to start on pit bikes at 3 or 4 years old, then move on to some prototype, Moto 5, Moto 4, and so on. The Cup is something completely different, because it's not a springboard to produce the next world champion. It's for people who simply want to race or ride on the track.
Exactly. These are, above all, motorcycle enthusiasts who ride motorcycles every day, love the sport, and say after watching so many races at the track, we'd like to give it a try. And now, preparing a motorcycle for stock sport or superbikes is expensive. So here, people often say they want to ride to try it out, but they won't go on their own motorcycle because they damage their stock bike, and so on costs, That's why we create places like organizing the BMW Cup, where there's an opportunity to combine fun, testing yourself on the track and having a good time.
Yes, we'll definitely get into the specific details of the BMW M Cup because that's truly the main and most important topic. But how many of these cups have you already successfully organized?
I think it was 5 or 6 cups that we organized. Before there was the 800 Cup, the 1000 Cup. So we really have experience in this, and we've always organized them with good attendance. We had between 10 and 20 competitors depending on the time, because we always know that in the end it comes down to finances. So it often happens that the economic situation in the country means there are sponsors or there aren't, and that affects whether there are more or fewer participants. However, we always achieved our goals. It was always a great event for us. The competitors who often raced in our cup are now competing in the Polish championships and are achieving very good times.
On a more personal note, what did you feel? Because how many years have you been associated with the BMW brand?
Since 2002.
Exactly. What did you feel at that moment? Because you used to ride motorcycles of other brands. You took part in those cups, especially those K1200 boxes, which was definitely fun, but also a bit of a ball and chain. When did you first find out about the S1000RR project, and when did you actually get to ride it? What did you feel like a sporty BMW?
You know what it was? I don't remember exactly which year it was now, but I remember I was invited to the headquarters. There, they showed me the prototype motorcycle, which, by the way, is also standing here with us today, the new 1000 prototype. And we got permission to do training and tests on that motorcycle. Of course, at that time, it had fairings from other motorcycle brands put on it, so the press wouldn't recognize that it was the first BMW. And
so you were testing prototypes?
Yes, a prototype, exactly. And we also, as a practical test of the prototype, competed in the Boldor 24-hour race. We were the first BMW who participated for the very first time in a 24-hour race. It was the BMW Sikora team that entered, and we finished the race. Yes, on a BMW motorcycle that was still completely unprepared. Of course, in terms of media coverage at the beginning, we had, so to speak, very limited possibilities because it was a prototype and in fact it couldn't really be fully advertised yet. Of course, they had already gone into production, so they allowed us, so to speak, to participate, but access to spare parts and so on was very limited, so we were really riding
quietly,
just to see what would happen. But we finished, we completed the race, so I'm satisfied.
The motorcycle behind us is also a prototype, so this is a pre-production motorcycle?
Yes, the motorcycle behind us is a pre-production model. I raced on it in September before the official production already in the Polish championships. Yes. It's a pre-release motorcycle.
I'd like to briefly go over your impressive career so people will truly know who they'll actually have the wonderful chance to ride with. Because, well, even though I know a bit about motorcycles, I wasn't even aware of how much experience you've actually gathered along the way, since it included both endurance and superbikes in Thailand. What were the main highlights that stuck in your memory throughout your career?
Obviously, the Polish championships are closest to my heart because that's where I grew up, and I really want to promote this direction because it's our community, our country, and so on. However, a lot of experience also comes from twice competing in the Boldor, 3 times at Le Mans, 24-hour races, the World Championships, Boxer Cup, and Power Cup. So I did race a bit on foreign tracks. I've ridden on many international circuits, but still the Polish Championship and Alpe Adria are closest to my heart. That's where I feel best. These are also budgets that are actually achievable for a rider. The World Championships, on the other hand, are already a huge expense.
By the way, congratulations on your impressive Polish Championship title.
Thank you. We managed to do it in 2021, and I won the title of Polish champion in superbikes. Bartek Wilczyński won the title of Polish champion in stock sport, and Michał Fila won the Alpe Adria champion title in stock sport. So we brought home these 3 titles for the season.
That's quite a lot. The M Cup trophy. The M is also connected to your Salon M project, which is also a bit related to cars, but you'll be racing on the S1000RR. It's about the costs, right?
Yes, it's about the fact that from the start, this motorcycle is cheaper. It costs less than the M, that's obvious. And it's also about the budget. If we're once again aiming to make the budget as little of a burden as possible for the rider and to allow for some fun, then it's better to take that first step with the 1000 than with the M, because we're starting from a lower level. However, the motorcycles will be prepared for the riders. So for the most part, we'll be riding standard stock motorcycles. Simply put, Of course, things like guards, the exhaust, just minimal changes and modifications that will be.
And will all of them be the same?
All of them will be the same, of course.
So people who come and decide to join this cup, because I already know there are a dozen or so interested, but the list is still open.
Yes, exactly. We already have practically 12 riders signed up with confirmed deposits paid and so on. So at this point, the cup is definitely happening this year. 100% we will be racing in the cup. Of course, there is also the possibility to compete on your own motorcycles. However, we need to bring those motorcycles to our company. We have to meticulously check the precise engine power output of these high-performance motorcycles on the specialized dynamometer. We will then securely seal these powerful motorcycles so that throughout the entire racing season, the competing riders won't be able to modify, alter, or make any unauthorized adjustments to their bikes in any way whatsoever.
We won't go into too many specific details because
there's a lot of it.
There are a lot of details because there are prizes, and there are separate prizes for amateurs, since both amateurs and licensed racers are allowed to participate.
Exactly. Amateurs are allowed to participate, and in fact, we've created a larger prize pool specifically for them, including a BMW series car as the first prize. However, we've also established a prize tier for licensed racers. However, we do not allow competitors who have ever achieved championship titles to participate there, right? So even if someone has a license, in short, if they have ever won a championship title in any class, they will not be allowed to compete. They can, of course, ride with us, but they will not be ranked in the overall standings.
Okay, so there is some flexibility, meaning that everyone is really welcome at the starting line, but the rules and regulations are set up to favor amateurs more, right?
Yes, we want the biggest prize pool and the largest number of participants to go to the amateurs here, to our cup. The second direction is for licensed competitors, and of course we invite everyone who even has championship titles, but they will not be in the general classification.
Yes, and the tracks?
Yes.
Poznań, Pannonia?
It will definitely be Poznań. We definitely want to start here in Poznań, at Pannonia Ring, at Slovakia Ring, and we'll be at Grobnik. We'll see if it will also be Most or BRNO. We'll see about other tracks, but for now, Pannonia, Grobnik, and Slovakia Ring, these three foreign tracks are already confirmed.
These days, we all know that sometimes in certain situations, you truly have to react very quickly and decisively to what is happening around you.
But we will try to always race alongside the Polish Championships or the Alpe Adria Cup. Also, because we have an additional car event in the project, we want to combine it so that after each motorcycle event, we stay at the track right away. Since we're also running a second car project, we want to remain at the same venues on Monday to immediately continue with motorsport activities, but this time focused on cars.
So it's fun for both boys and girls with motorcycles and cars all the way. First, you race on a motorcycle, and then you stay and relax with the BMW M Power.
BMW M2 CS, and that'll be on track Monday.
That's quite a pleasant vision.
Yes.
Coffee with that, a croissant, you know, the usual logistics, because that's also important. People don't have to worry about it either, since you have your own team track and the motorcycles will be transported, but you can also keep them at your place.
Yes, it's up to the rider whether they want us to take the motorcycles with us and deliver them to the tracks, or if they'd prefer to transport them themselves. There's complete flexibility here, so the topic is open. If someone declares at the very beginning that they would like us to deliver their motorcycles to some or all of the tracks, then we take full responsibility for the insurance, transport, care, and servicing of those motorcycles.
Exactly, because there will also be mechanics on site. So if someone, let's be honest, servicing a racing motorcycle is not an easy thing. Even if you know how to turn a wrench, you still need the knowledge of what exactly needs to be done with that bolt, right?
Of course, the idea is that every rider should have their own mechanic, and that's non-negotiable. However, our mechanics technicians and electromechanic will be there to supervise the motorcycles up to the start and so on. So in the end, before every training session, before every ride, we will check the motorcycles to make sure everything is okay.
Okay. Tires?
Tires, yes. We'll be using Pirelli because as a team we've always used Pirelli and we know these tires very well. We know what to expect from them and what we can recommend to our riders, including which compounds to use and so on. So these will be tires that are also approved for the Polish Championships, which means we'll actually be riding on the same tires. Our plan is to have at least 2 new rear tires and 1 front tire for the weekend. That's the minimum requirement to ensure the races are safe, right? However, there is flexibility. If someone has the budget and wants to buy more tires at promotional prices, of course they can.
Okay, because that's important too. Here, it's not like you make money on the small stuff, as you said, in the sense that there's no pressure. The goal isn't to make money off this cup, but to get people to race. So there's flexibility when it comes to suits, helmets, the number of tires, right?
Exactly. Generally, we know very well that I run this car business somewhere, And for me, organizing the cup isn't about business because the motorcycles are offered at a promotional price. We don't supply tires or suits or helmets and so on. Here, there's complete freedom, so we don't make any money from this, right? The minimal service support that we have to provide, of course, we do as our support, but all other expenses are covered by the rider themselves, so there's no profit here. If someone says Sikora is making money off the cup, no, we don't make any money. To put it very clearly, tires will be purchased, direct tire purchases will be possible directly from Pirelli at negotiated rates for our riders.
That's it. Exactly, because when I looked at the M showroom, I got the impression that the M is, for you, simply the perfect place to grow. I don't really like the word passion, but that's kind of what it is. It's just something you can finally have fun with. Someone who truly has motorsport in their heart can have fun with it. This showroom, what's going on with this M around you anyway?
Yes, exactly. In general, our motto is that these are showrooms created with passion, because for as long as I can remember, sport has always been my passion, racing, competition, and so on. And creating this very place where athletes and clients can come, experience that sporting passion, join our events, sign up to go to Domogelo or to New Boarding or to the Slovakia ring, drive the M2 CS or even race with us in the Cup. It's this passion for motorsport that we've poured into the heart, into this showroom and into this place that exists here today. This is a place where athletes come, clients come, and they feel comfortable here. We've created a really cool atmosphere here. We have our own cafe, our own meeting space, and so on. So here you can talk about sports, you can meet up here. This is a place that our clients are happy to visit.
All right. You have some exceptionally experienced riders on board, right? Well, my beloved Bartek, Michał Fila, and of course you. Will people be able to benefit from your knowledge when it comes to riding technique? Some kind of support, you know?
Exactly. That's right. That's exactly what we want to offer these riders, to have the opportunity to train with them, to give them guidance. That's why this year we're changing our project a bit. Michał will probably not be competing in the Polish Championships, but instead we want Michał to be a greater support for all these riders, because he'll be riding with them, teaching them, pointing out their mistakes, telling them what to improve and where and so on. And of course, Bartek and I will also be here as support. So Bartek and I are the foundation. However, we will also be focused on the Polish Championships. So in reality, as we know, there's always little time at competitions. And that's why we decided that Michał will be the support for our participants. We don't know if he'll be able to attend all the rounds, but from the very beginning, we definitely want Michał to be with us and to train them.
Okay, sure. So here again, it's relatively relaxed. It's not like we're running training sessions, because these are ultimately races, but you can always count on support.
Exactly. There are always a lot of questions, especially at the very beginning. So that's why Michał's support is very important.
All right. So when do we start?
The start is really as soon as possible. Obviously, the first elimination round, from what I saw in the calendar, is at the end of March in Cremona, but unfortunately, we won't be able to get ready that quickly.
Besides, it'll be colder.
And we're worried about the weather and so on. So March is definitely out. For sure, in April, we'll already be doing our first training sessions, because the plan is to get ready and get to know the whole Cup team and the drivers before the first Polish Championship. So we'll definitely go for a 2 or 3 day training session at Pannonia Ring. There, we want to do a 2 or 3 day joint training session and establish all the rules so that the drivers feel comfortable later on during the Polish Championships. And we actually start from the first round, I believe in Poznan, if I remember correctly, in May.
Okay, we will definitely write about this on your website, and we'll probably provide a link with all the information on how to join this cup. I hope we'll meet there, because we've already talked about time. But when things like this happen, you always think, well, maybe I'll manage to take part at least in one round.
Yes, of course, you're welcome to join us. We'll also have motorcycles available for you, VIP ones, so we can have a great time together on the track.
Yes. Will there be any celebrities showing up?
Definitely.
All right. Thanks a lot then. We're going to check out some more things at the expo.
Thank you.